Even though we're living in the age of AI, studying language is starting to be considered maybe obsolete by some. I refuse to think this, okay? I seriously refuse to believe this. I've seen so many benefits from this. I love studying languages. I remember filming this kind of video, but a year ago, and my French was just like, bonjour, ça va? Ça va bien? Merci. And that was it. If you don't know me, hello, my name is Paulina. I am an Italian and Polish native speaker. The languages I know at the moment are 5. The levels are quite different for some of these, but today I want to tell you what my plans for 2026 are. This could be source of motivation, this could give you any ideas. And last year I had some goals. I was quite successful in some of them. I wasn't truly in other aspects, but we'll see it in this video. I'm starting just like last year because my goal was to improve my English. English is the language I've studied the most throughout my life, and I keep studying and I keep reading, getting informed. I just want to be surrounded by this language as much as possible because I do not live in an English-speaking country. I need an English-friendly environment, so I try to create it for myself. And this year, my goal would be actually to achieve a C2. Because during this year, at some point, I just started wondering and saying, isn't that ridiculous that I know the language and I'm constantly preparing people for advanced exams? I think that would be great, both career-wise and also as a personal achievement, because I studied philology, etc., but having an actual piece of paper, like a sheet, saying you have a C2, and I cannot think of a more fitting language than English for this, especially at this point in my life. So English, I really want to master it to the highest level possible. If you don't know what a C2 is, basically this is the CEFR, so the Common European Framework of Reference. And these are different levels that show, for example, to an employer, your resume, or in any kind of context, they give some kind of idea, a rough idea of what your level in that language is. Then moving on with French. So if you've been watching my channel, you know I have been practicing French for the entire year. I am quite satisfied. My goal for 2025 was to reach a B2 level. I cannot tell you I have a B2 in understanding, but I can tell you that my understanding significantly improved. I can understand so much of what I hear, of what I see online, even reading articles, reading the news, which blows my mind. I remember filming this kind of video, but a year ago, listening was a nightmare. Vocabulary as well. And instead now, I am not an upper intermediate, but I can understand so much more. So this year, I'm focusing a lot on output, writing and speaking.
Je ne suis pas très bien avec la langue française.
I'm going to work a lot on my pronunciation. I'm going to work a lot on speaking proficiently, speaking fluently, and also trying to improve my accuracy. In order to do so, my action plan is to get input, first of all, because I still need to hear and just trying to incorporate the French language more into my life. So reading actual books, watching sometimes the news, some content, but things that are not just for learners, but things that could actually be for native speakers. I also want to speak with tutors, with people, so getting better at conversation. I have a similar goal for Spanish as well. The cute thing about Spanish is that I started quite recently, and within these few months that have gone by, I just managed to, reach a level of understanding that I didn't expect. I'll be honest. I feel like Spanish is very natural for me because I speak Italian. So there are so many things that just ring a bell. I don't know how to explain it because there are also differences. They're not identical, they're not mirrored languages, but they're very similar. So this similarity makes the Spanish language quite approachable. I want to be very good at understanding people, at reading. I really want to be good at the input part. With the output, I'll have to work, obviously. With speaking, I want to be able to communicate with people, to chat, not at a very, very high level. I don't have that kind of expectation because that would be too much considering the other goals I have. I'll tell you in a moment. But at the same time, I just don't want to say que. I really want to be able to have a conversation in the language. I always make a clear distinction between output and input because I feel like you could be incredibly good at understanding a language and not so good at speaking. And they require different exercises, different types of effort. Next, we have German. With German, I really wanted to get started last year, and I did. I got, let's say, my hands dirty a little bit with German. But what I can tell you is this. This year, my goal with German is to watch the entire thing of Nico's Weg, and I really want to get to at least a B1. I don't want to feel like an idiot when people are speaking German or when I'm reading German. I love how structured this language is, so I feel like I can do it. Last year, I got started with it and I was really enjoying it. So this year in my routine, I'm going to include a lot of German input. I'm going to focus on listening and reading to lots of German. So I cannot wait because it's a language I personally really like. It's going to be one of my newest languages that I really want to improve the most. I want to feel like if I say I understand German and somebody speaks to me, unless they speak like crazy fast or they tell some kind of riddles, but if somebody is speaking a quite understandable German, I want to get that person. I want to understand that person. I want to say, oh yeah. Final piece of the puzzle, and this is something that I have considered again and again. Every time I encounter Russian, I'm like, gosh, I want to learn this language. So this year, I'm not putting too much pressure on myself, but I want to get started with Russian. I want to get to an A1, who knows, maybe an A2 level. I want to understand the alphabet. I want to be able to say very simple stuff and understand simple stuff. I'm not going to dedicate an enormous amount of my time to studying Russian because I've mentioned many things already. But I feel like with Russian, I really want to just, knock on the door, take a glimpse and see what's going on. I just have this inner curiosity. And this year, I also want to delve more into some Slavic languages in general, even though I've just mentioned all languages that are not Slavic. I really want to connect more with the culture because I'm also Polish. So for me, it's very important to connect with this aspect of my life. So yeah, so far, so good. These are my plans. Compared to last year, my habits this year are much stronger. Last year, I was getting started again with languages, and studying multiple languages, it's not very easy if you're not used to it. This year, I feel like my routine is so much more solid. I could definitely manage and achieve these things. So I'm very excited and I'll document my journey. I'll be sharing different updates here on the channel. We'll be studying together as well. I really cannot wait to share more content about these languages. So if you're interested in learning languages, if you're curious about more tricks and more tips when it comes to language learning, you can subscribe, you can leave a comment. Let me know what your language goals are this year. I'm very curious to read about all of them, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!